Okay, welcome
to another episode
of Driving to the Res
with your favorite host,
Larry and
Inelia. You got it over real fast.
I learned my lesson last week. I got it. Get it done.
You got it.
Right. So
this week's episode
is
Fairy Gardens, creating magical spaces.
Right. And just so you know,
we have a second hour.
Not only that, but this is a newsletter article.
Yes.
Right. So you can find the article and the other ones.
Yes.
At inelia.substack.com.
You can.
Or you can just go to, say, Inelia Benz Substack.
Yes.
Or you can even go
IneliaBenz.com.
IneliaBenz.com. Or since you're listening to Driving to the Res, you could go Driving to the Res.
Yes.
On the Google or Spotify or whatever, everywhere you're looking.
You can find us.
You'll find it. You can find us. No trouble at all.
No trouble at all. Yes.
And then this is the first part of a second hour also.
Yes.
And if you are curious about what you're hearing and you want to hear more, like a lot more.
Uncensored.
Yeah, uncensored meaning, I guess that we're just, you know how it is when you're sitting in the restaurant and everybody in the restaurant can hear you? And you say certain things and you don't say other things.
Uh-huh.
And then other times you'd be like, in the dinner table with just your close friends and family, you say different things and you have different trains of thought and mind and words and, right? Well, our second hour is the dinner table with our friends.
Exactly.
Right? So if you want to join that part of the discussion, that's at Subscribestar and at Rockfin.
Yes.
Either one. Mm-hmm. So let's begin.
All right. Shall I read a little bit and then we can discuss it?
I think so, yeah. I think that's the best plan.
All right. Before we begin our exploration of fairy gardens, I would like to remind us of the exercise we did a few weeks back. Actually, it will be like several weeks back, maybe some months back.
It has been
so we can continue with it. Okay, this exercise is actually quite awesome, isn't it?
It is.
I share this exercise with our students at Walk With Me Now and Subscribestar. It empowers every single person to become an amplifier and transmitter of the true nature and energy of who we are.
An amplifier and transmitter. Sort of like what we like to call ourselves, illuminator.
Illuminators.
Not eliminators, honey.
Illuminators.
Yes, that's the one.
I said illuminators.
It's not like eliminators.
No, I said illuminators.
Yes.
Okay, here's the exercise. Write a minimum of 200 things you're grateful for and love about yourself, your life, the world, environment, and creatures and people around you. Second part of it is...
Wait. I almost always start that list with a soft pillow.
A soft pillow.
Yes.
That's nice. That you love. And I'm grateful for soft pillows.
It has a story behind it, of course.
Okay. What's the story?
Well, sometimes life gets complicated.
Mm-hmm.
At least it used to get exceedingly complicated maybe more than 10 years ago. And there would be all kinds of this, that's, and turmoils and dramas and this and that. Oh my God, so much of this and OMGs and pressure and support. Oh my God. And it would become a bit overwhelming. So I used to have to turn everything back to say, okay, at least something I could be happy about, grateful for. It's like, oh, I have a soft pillow. I don't have to use like a rock. I got a soft pillow. But,
Brilliant.
It was an example of the time. That was the only tool that I had to raise my frequency.
You did 200 of them or just the one?
I only could get one.
All right.
So imagine the effect of 200.
Yes, indeed. So the second part is read this list every day and add to it as you feel inspired to do.
And the text was minimum 200, right?
Yes, minimum.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's your goal, to get to 200, not to stop at 200.
Right.
Just so you know.
And then do this for at least 3 months.
Oh my gosh.
I'm very grateful for our puppy dog, and I'm going to see what's going on with her.
She has a desire for crunchy food.
Yes, and Romeo ate it all. There's none left.
Romeo,
come here.
He has learned sharing with PB is a bad plan, because if you don't, you'll just get more. No, only if PB wants it. That's one of the 200 things he's grateful for. So I'll continue reading the article while she's collecting some crunchy food for PB. Now I want to expand on something we touched upon in a previous article, but didn't get into detail about, which is the creation of physical life-affirming shrines and altars. In particular, I want to talk about the finding of and creation of fairy gardens. Hi, baby's coming. We live in the Olympic Peninsula rainforest. Literally, our yard front and back is a forest, surrounded by logging forests and natural forests. Crunchy food for PB. Spread around on her bed because she doesn't want to eat from a bowl. Princess Beauty.
She will not eat from a bowl, honey.
She will not eat from a bowl. She must have her food in bed. Actually, on bed. Mm-hmm. Okay. We're here. Most days.
Did you read that part, honey?
Yeah, so most days.
We go into the forest.
Yeah.
To walk the dogs.
Yes, most days.
Including PB, who doesn't like to eat except...
on her bed, in her bed.
Yes.
The other dogs go with us on our walk and eat the blackberries now, which is fun to watch.
Yes, so should the she, but you have to pick it. Get one little grain out of the blackberry.
Sometimes give it a little squish, so it isn't like so hard to bite through.
I know. Yeah.
The skin of a blackberry, you know.
Mm-hmm. During some of those outings, we have seen and photographed spots that can only be explained as fairy gardens. They come in all sorts of shapes and are generally small. The fairies, imagined or real, that live in those gardens are tiny. A moss-covered stump with beautiful miniature clover flowers, for example, with a clear spot where the fairies might stand or sit or even live at. These spots attract us and make us smile and laugh. They're magical. What do you think about that?
I'm just, reflecting on my life, running and walking around through those woods and finding those little fairy gardens that are just naturally generated, this little space. It's like on top of the stump with moss and the little tiny moss, or, the moss flowers or whatever. Mm-hmm. And maybe a mushroom over here, and then a clear spot. It looks like they would be dancing at. You see them, and that's right where your mind goes. Like, fairy garden.
Yeah. When I lived in Sacramento, California, there was a garden store that sold fairy houses and gardens. These creations were made on plant pots. They were works of art. The owners also sold all the materials and bits to create those miniatures. It was a magical and stunning store. They also sold little fairy figurines, which I imagine could be placed in forests and parks, and might very well attract real fairies. They were so cute! And of course alive, because these plant pots, right? They had live plants in them. And then the magical fairy gardens were all like around the plant. So pretty, so pretty. Why are these fairy gardens so magical? Why are they so attractive and filled with life? We know, you see, that a natural environment is like, and we know it contains magical little creatures we call fairies, and we know how to replicate their energy and environment so that we can start sharing our reality with them again. It is true that most of us have reached a certain age where other things are more important and take precedence, other things that don't include the looking for or creating a fairy garden.
Which is funny, too, if you think about it. Many of us spend the vast majority of our time doing other than that. And imagine, the amount of enjoyment and the going in the woods, the connection with the forest, the finding of that magic. It's like, that's a very high quality experience, right?
It is. It's super high quality.
Compared to, say, watching a terrible
YouTube
channel about, fighting this or that, which can grab your attention for hours.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway.
Imagine if you went for a hike in the wilderness, looked into the tree and spotted a beautiful crafted fairy house and garden that another hiker had left there. Maybe.
Maybe a hiker, maybe not.
Maybe not.
Fairy.
Maybe. Because perhaps for a few seconds you may play with the idea that the house and garden were not placed there by another person, but it was real. And for that moment, you may pretend it was real and that the fairies did indeed live in or use a house and garden. We don't know, because maybe they actually do. And maybe it wasn't another person who put it there, but actually the fairies created it. What do you think about that?
Well, I think I have a picture of a fairy.
Yes, you do.
And I think that maybe we can put that clip art in our show notes or
Yes.
close to attached to this podcast so you can find it.
Maybe Ilia can add it to the video.
Maybe Ilia could just...
Add it to the video. I also want to see photographs in this video podcast of the fairy garden that at
Phoebe
the wedding.
found at the wedding.
Yes.
Yes, Phoebe was very, very interested in that fairy garden.
Yes, yes.
That entire wedding was held in a fairy garden.
It was the entire
Very
place.
big ones, littler ones,
Yes.
littler ones, littler ones, little ones,
Yeah.
all the way to teensies.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. When I was a kid in England, my walk to school went past several neighbourhoods with old established gardens. A couple of those gardens had garden gnomes. I remember one in particular that had gnomes with doing all sorts of interesting activities. Were actually hard to spot. I would stand at the gate looking at and see how many I could find and smile and laugh at their shenanigans.
Their shenanigans, I like that word.
You know, like they would change. Every day they would be doing different things and there'd be different gnomes doing things in the yard. Yeah. Yeah. I remember one in specific that when I looked, he was like frozen, running away from the path.
Like he was,
and looking
you
at
caught
me.
him.
Yeah.
He was
Like
running
he
away,
froze.
trying to get...
Like I'm just in a garden gnome, don't look at me. And I was standing there at the gate, just laughing at these gnomes, and yeah, it was so much fun. This is a global experience. The perception and the recreation of these magical beings and their habitats brings something into our lives that is unique, life-giving, inspiring, and amazing. It's common to all cultures in the world. So let's do more of that. Let's allow the magical energy to infuse our lives, even if for a day. I would like you, the listener, to post a photo of a fairy garden you have created or found in a store or in the woods on our Telegram channel.
Probably a fine place.
So you just look for Telegram. It's like one of these social media things.
Yep.
No, social network thing. And then look for Inelia Benz, and there's going to be a channel there, a public one and a chat one. So you can subscribe to both, and then you can comment on the posts. So I'd like you to post on the comments there. I want you to post your photos. And let's bring some magic back into our lives. What do you have to say about that?
Well, what I have to say is...
Ooh, can I ask you a question?
Very well.
I know we have talked about it in a previous podcast, but I would like you to also to remind us and tell us about your experience when finding that fairy light. Remember when you were looking for Sasquatch
That's
signs?
the picture that I want to share.
Yes, exactly.
The picture of the fairy. Yeah. So what was going on?
Tell us.
I was walking in the forest with my diggity dogs. And the day before, I was walking to connect with the Sasquatch in the area.
Yeah.
Right? To see if the location I was at was one that the Sasquatch would be interested in meeting Todd and his group with when they show up the next week.
And Todd is a Sasquatch guy, right?
Right. He has expeditions that he runs all over the place. He has them up in Canada, Vancouver Island, I think in Alberta. He comes once a year down here to spend some time on the Olympic Peninsula, connected with our tribe and us, and being available for
the local
Sasquatch tribe to, have some form of, hey, let's find you, talk to you, connect with you, see you, expand our idea of what you are, what you mean, what you are, all the things, the connections.
So you were already in that mode, right?
I was in the mode of,
awareness.
hey, he's going to be here now. Where shall we go? Is this a good place? Would this be a good place to host both us and you, the Sasquatch tribe? If I bring Todd and the group here, say, this might be a good spot, is it? So I'm looking for signs and feelings and
So you're open, right? To communication.
Open to forest and communication, right? So the day before I'd gone to a place and I walked over and around a hill and I hit literally sign after sign after sign after sign of Sasquatch presence, interactivity, noise, hoots, knocks, like
Breaks.
Walking down this road and there's Sasquatch sign and then another one and then another one and another one. I'm like, my gosh, yeah, this is obviously a great place. Okay, well, be sure to come here. And the next day I went to explore another area, and it's close to the area I was just at. And when we walked down, I remember you and Brett came with me this time, right? We walked down this long path. We got all the way to the end, and there was a fairy garden, right? For humans.
Right.
It was a off-grid, single room-ish, maybe two cottage on the lake shore with its own little environment. It was just idyllic in a sense, right? It is completely idyllic.
Yeah, it is.
A little hand-built cabin on the side of the lake, the largest undeveloped lake in the state of Washington, right?
Lake Ozette.
Lake Ozette. It's just perfect.
Yeah.
But it's not, I didn't see any Sasquatch sign all the way there. And at the end of it is like, no. One side is, I mean, we're not talking long way apart. There's only like a half a mile distance difference, right? This one, blank. And so as we're walking back, I thought, well, let me go into the forest and off this road path.
Yeah.
And I went straight into the forest. And when I got into the forest, I'm in the open to who is here and what is this about place. I saw this brilliant, intense, like the colors, right? That blue on our microphone. If you're watching the video, you see it was just a very intense blue. You can see in your glasses, it's bright blue. That shining at me.
Yeah.
And then, just like our microphone, it changed green, violet, orange, yellow, blue, green, violet, orange, yellow, blue. I got it in video. It was like, what the heck is that? So I took a video of it. I took some pictures of it. And then when we looked at the pictures later, I was just showing you the pretty beautiful, blue, intense light right at the end of the stick. I'm like, it wasn't water. There was no water. I looked.
Yes.
The dogs, I mean, it wasn't water. But it was just
And anyways,
brilliant.
Even when there is water on the leaves,
even if there is water on the leaves.
there's like a bright white light you can see, but not like the spectrum of
Well,
colors.
I had never seen it before.
No.
I mean, we walked to the forest thousands of times.
Thousands of times.
Maybe
Thousands
hundreds of
of
thousands of
times.
times.
Yes.
Uncountable times.
Yes, we've never seen
Never
that
once
before.
in my entire life have I experienced that.
Yeah.
So when I took pictures of it, I want to share it. And when I shared it with you and showed you, next to the light, sitting on the next branch, is a fairy.
It's a little boy fairy.
A little man fairy standing there with his arms up,
Yeah.
conjuring up the light. That's what it looks like in the picture, right?
yeah.
It totally is like...
It does look
totally.
like that. It does.
Right. So that space I didn't take Todd to.
No.
It wasn't about Sasquatch down our road.
No.
But there were beings, elementals, fairies, however, whatever. That's the fairy zone.
Yeah.
The fairies down this road, the Sasquatch down the other way.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, when I brought Todd down that road, that was one of the first places we went. Everyone there...
The one with the Sasquatch?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone there had a Sasquatch experience of either realization of, oh, this is sign. That's definitely sign that there's an unnatural thing. I mean, when I say not natural, I mean, it's like the branch didn't fall in the road. That was, these things were created structures, right? They can't fall that way because one's under the other, on top of the other, on top of the other, on top of the other.
They're woven together.
You can't lift them off without being under something else. So they didn't fall. That's kind of a thing. So that was one of the things. Plus, Ashley found a track, like insane track.
She's good at finding tracks.
And we did a meditation at the end of the road. And I did get a picture of what I think Todd calls a blur squatch, which you don't like them.
Blur squatch?
Yeah, which is a picture. When you look at it, it's
a blurry one.
It's a blurry splotch squatch.
splotch.
Oh, a splotch squatch.
Splotch
Something like
squatch.
that he calls it. But I don't think it was. It was totally turn this way and take a picture and you'll get me. Because they were in their out of phase space. Yeah. And I did. I don't think we'll share that picture, but definitely we'll share the fairy one. Mm-hmm. So when I went in and I experienced that fairy doing the light show, it was just the feeling of
magic.
Magic, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, the skeptic or logical brain takes over for me, and I start thinking light rays and minerals in the water and whatnot, prisms and fractals
of light.
Yeah. All these things, right?
Yeah.
However, for the next week or two after that experience, we went out into the woods a few times. We taught on other times as well when he was gone, and we saw it again. I mean, never seen before, a full bright light.
Bright.
Not necessarily any sun rays anywhere near it, and extremely bright. But even if there were light rays, they usually are white, right? Normally.
Yeah, we've seen sparkly water drop.
Yeah. But
I have.
In forest, we saw one before. Across the road from the shaman shack.
Yeah.
Like lots of white ones, and then this beautiful, bright, fully colored one. And then at another place, I can't remember, I think it was in the Macau Road, down Hulko Road, on the random side of the road, again, super bright. And it's like, oh my God, there's another one. And then after, oh yes, they did, down exactly behind the shaman shack, wasn't it?
No, by the campground at Ozette.
Ah, okay.
Where they stopped there to park for a minute, and I went on to do, I don't remember what, I had to go check something and come back to them. Oh, I was talking to the 90-year-old guy that lives there, right? And when I came back to find them, like, there's a fairy here, look at the light.
Yeah. So, and then they went away again.
Yeah, I haven't seen one since.
No, we haven't, and this months ago. We haven't seen one.
Not one. Not one, not even a tiny one.
Yeah.
And we've still been in the woods.
Right. And it's like these kind of creatures and things are recorded around the world, and they're pictures and they look very similar to each other. And I spoke a lot before. I've spoken about the one that we saw in that vortex, right? The little guy on an insect.
Oh, yeah. The Oregon vortex.
Yes.
Riding a dragonfly or something.
Yes. Right? Yeah. Well, no, it was like a big bumblebee thing. A big bat thing.
Oh, was it?
With a little guy sitting on it. Remember?
That's right. Yes, yeah.
I was so shocked I didn't think to take out a camera. He was shocked that I could see him too.
Oh, that's funny.
And then you could see him too. And then, because the vortex is such weird energies, I think that the veil between dimensions and realities get us a little bit wobbly there. Well,
I think it's also part of the experience of it, and all the people experiencing it that creates that vortex on top of the vortex. Because they're like, things aren't
magical.
Things are magic here, and the people are in fully belief of it too.
Yes. Not even belief, because
acceptance of it.
They're living
experiencing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it's not optical illusions, because people can take photographs, and the photographs show you very clearly that what you're seeing is what's there, right?
Right.
But also, the other day, actually just before now, when we were setting out to record our podcast, I was looking at the lake across the forest, and something flew past. And I saw it, and I thought, okay, logically that should be a bird. Light, beige color, wings sticking out. And it most certainly shouldn't have a little person on it. Despite
what it looks like.
Despite that, in fact, there's no birds of that color here.
No.
There's no light beige colored birds in this area. I mean, kind of like a bat kind of thing. But also bats are black around here. They're not beige. And that creature and the things, like a little person on it, no, that can't be right. And a few days ago, we were walking back with the dogs up our driveway, which is about a mile long. Actually, it is a mile long. And then suddenly past me flew this creature, like it was like a giant mosquito, like, like Daddy Long Legs one. But again, it was fat, and it was flying very erratically, very weirdly. And when I looked at it, and it flew right past my head, I looked at it, and there was another little guy there riding it, and like shocked at my face. And I said, I remember thinking, I did not see that. No, I mean, the legs were dangling, and it was flying rather erratically, but it was so tiny, and I imagined that I was probably running a fever or something, seeing things. So even though I've experienced it, I've seen it.
And you see it often enough to have more than one experience of it.
Exactly. I still manage to push it away into illogical things. And that's a lot of us. I mean, a lot of people do have magical experiences and see these things, but they immediately explain it away into something else. Same with flying saucers, same with strange people in the street that are not quite human.
Yeah.
Same with, I remember once I was driving down the I-80 in California, going from Sacramento to Vacaville. And there's a few giant malls on the side of the road. And as I was driving up through, like I was driving towards the west, and it was sunset. No, it was past sunset. So it was getting really dark, right? The sun was down. It was getting very dark. And in the distance, I see the mall. And above it, I see this ginormous, huge, triangular flying object above them all.
Really?
Really. And I'm driving past it. And as I drive past it, I was talking to Brett, and I was telling Brett, my son, hey, Brett, I'm looking at a giant spaceship above them all. Oh, my gosh. I can't believe nobody's stopping. I said, everybody's just driving past, nobody's stopping, nobody's pulling out onto the side of the road to look at it.
Or taking pictures.
Take photographs. Nothing. I said, nothing. Nobody's stopping. Guess what?
You weren't just stopping either.
I didn't stop.
And take a picture.
I didn't take a picture.
Why?
Exactly. Why? That's interesting, isn't it?
Frustrating. Interesting.
It's interesting. But these things happen, and we have sometimes premonitions of that it's going to happen. Again, in California, there's a lot more UFO activity than I've seen up here. And driving a lot in California, I would know where to look. I would know, okay, look to the southwest, whatever. Not in those directions, but like my eyes would, oh no, I need to look in that direction now. Invariably, there would be a fast-moving object there 2 or 3 seconds later, right? A fast-moving object that way, sometimes a minute or two later, and then take a right angle and disappear, or just stop for a while and then go again. Invariably, it would always happen, always. That's another conversation, but it's like the magical aspects of our lives. It's here. It's not theoretical, and we can explain it away all we want. We can call them fairies, or we can call them drop creatures, or we can think that maybe our brains are interpreting these creatures to be humanoid in nature because that's what we understand to be a sentient human-like creature. And that's very likely, but so that can also be said of looking at each other. When we look at each other as people, we see another person, but are we really in that shape? Are we really that? Will we see? We don't know, right?
We only experience it that way.
Experience it. So you know when you experience a magical moment, you know it. And that's the takeaway, I think. Like earlier, I saw that weird light beige looking bird with that creature and like that little person on top flying past our window. And I was like, okie dokie then. Yes. Yes, okay. It was so fast, there's no point in me saying, oh, look.
Take a picture. No, all gone.
So fast.
So sometimes just experience it.
Just sometimes experience it. And then we saw what, we were going to record this podcast. So I don't think it's coincidental at all. I think sometimes that larger reality impinges in our attention so that remind us, hey, imagining this stuff is real. We're here.
It's one thing I want to make a small note of, which is, we did find the area to go explore with the Sasquatch.
Yeah.
And we did go on the expedition with them that evening. And since then, not back once.
Yep.
And not only that, we did find and take pictures of the fairy in the forest, and I know exactly where it is, and have not been back.
Correct.
Not even down that road.
Nope, not down that road. We haven't.
And we did go on another place, an expedition on the reservation, all the way tippity top of the reservation in a spot, right?
Yeah.
Way away from all cars, but go backable too. And we left presents for the Sasquatch to
You did?
grab to show, hey, we want to go see if you take it, or at least manipulate it, or put a footprint next to it, or some kind of a communication of some kind that you acknowledge.
never went back to see it?
We still haven't been back. Not yet. Not yet. Although we do keep getting invitations, we haven't followed through. So I think that we can put this on our list of, all right, you have a week. Go do some of these things. Go back to that place.
Yeah.
Yeah. And open yourself to the experiences. Okay. We'll try that.
All right.
Let's talk to Ilia about it.
Yeah.
And Adelina.
On our second part.
On our second hour. Let's see what their experience of this whole shaboodle is. They must have seen some of these in Romania, right?
I don't know. We'll ask them, won't we?
Okay. Let's ask them.
Okay.
Right now.
Right now.
Yeah. Hello, Ilia.
Ilia. Adelina, are you there? Are you there?
Are you there?
Are you there?